Good morning. It's Friday, March the 5th, and this is the heart of the matter. I don't need to tell you that our culture is crazy about sports. And there's nothing wrong with sports as long as we keep the right perspective about sports. I'm certainly not an expert, but it's easy to see that most athletes love the attention and the applause of the crowd. To be cheered and celebrated drives an athlete to do more and to train better and to perform at a higher level. Most athletes I see seem to feed off the energy and the applause of the crowd. I guess that's all part of our human nature, our makeup as men and women. We like to be applauded and appreciated and celebrated. We feed off attention and recognition. When we feel appreciated, we're motivated to do more and to work harder. That's just the way we're wired. In sports and in work, that's a good thing. But in spiritual things, not so much. In fact, Jesus spends a good part of the Sermon on the Mount warning us about doing good, healthy, spiritual things for the applause and the attention of man. In Matthew 6, verse 16, Jesus says, "When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show men they are fasting." There's nothing wrong with fasting, of course, or praying, or giving, for that matter, unless you do those things for the applause of man. Some people in Jesus' day would fast, which is a good thing, but they would do it in such a way that drew attention to themselves. And Jesus called those people hypocrites, someone who was acting, pretending to be something that they weren't, and he condemned that. That person was doing something good spiritually, but for the wrong reason, for the applause and the attention of man. Picture an athlete standing on the field or on the court, just soaking up the applause and the cheers of the crowd. Nothing wrong with that in sports, but definitely wrong in spiritual things. And Jesus says of the person who plays to the crowd in spiritual things, "I tell you the truth. They have received their reward in full." That means if you do something spiritually good, but you do it for the applause of man, then you better be satisfied with just the applause of man, because that's all that you'll be receiving. God won't recognize it. God won't cheer you on. God won't reward you. God won't keep a record of that spiritually good practice. And why is that? Well, because we were doing it for the applause of man and not to please him. So you see, when we do something like praying and fasting and giving, we'll only be rewarded by our intended audience. If we do it for man, you'll get man's applause only. But if you do it for God, you'll get his attention and his applause and his reward. And so I ask you today, which crowd are you playing for? For man or for God? And that's the heart of the matter.